So it is basically the credit sales are recorded on the day of sales, not when the money is received. Obviously, the shopkeeper who sold me this chocolate will record the revenue, will record the sales on the day he sold me that chocolate, not on the day he will receive that money. He will have to record on the very same day on which the chocolate was delivered to me, the chocolate was sold to me. Is that clear? So revenue recognition concept simply says to record all the revenues, to all record all the incomes when the cash is received or the legal right has been received. Okay. Hello students, welcome back to the class. So far we have done all the major concepts. Now we will be doing the next concept, that is basically the revenue recognition concept, which is basically the realization concept. Now what is the meaning of revenue recognition? Now, just to start with it, we all know that we have to record all the transactions into the books of accounts. Now, just see that transaction is the main thing with which the accounting starts. Obviously, without transaction, we won't record anything. All the transactions which involve money are to be recorded in the books of accounts. So every transaction has two aspects. We have already seen this. Transaction has two aspects. One is to give something and the other one is to take something. Now, since we are giving something and since we are taking something, this is known as transaction. Obviously, it has two items. That is dual aspects. One, I am getting something, and one, I am giving out something. Now, the transactions, the monetary transactions can be of two nature. What are the two natures? It can be the cash transaction. The other one can be the credit transaction. Now, what is the difference between cash transaction and what is the main meaning of trade transaction? We'll see to it. Now, what happens if I go to the shop? Just imagine going to the shop and buying the chocolate of rupees 50. So what you will do? You will give rupees 50 in cash. That is, you will pay rupees 50 in cash to that shopkeeper and you will take a chocolate for the similar 50 rupees amount. Okay, so one thing is going out, that is cash. One thing is coming in, that is the product or the thing you wanted, that is the chocolate. Okay, now this is the one scenario. Second scenario can be कि I am taking the chocolate from that shopkeeper. I am having that chocolate from that shopkeeper. He is giving me the chocolate. I am taking that chocolate, but I don't have money at present. Since that shopkeeper is, in my neighborhood, he knows my family very well. I asked him just to give me the chocolate right now, 50 rupees chocolate. I will pay you the amount afterwards, or else my father or my mother will pay you the amount of this chocolate 50 rupees after a day or two. So he agrees to that and he gives me the chocolate. But I have not paid the amount to him for that chocolate. Then also this is a transaction because he will get the amount afterwards. I have purchased the chocolate on credit basis. He will get the amount from my father or from my mother or from me after a certain period of time. This is what is done in the revenue recognition concept, which simply says if I am selling the goods or if my business is purchasing the goods, if I am doing this on cash basis, that is, if I am giving out cash and I am getting the goods, or else if I am giving out the goods and taking the cash, in both the ways, the transaction has to be recorded. I have made the sale or I have made the purchases. I will record that. I will recognize that as my transaction. Is that clear? But what will happen if I have done these things on credit basis? This is all about the revenue recognition. Now let's see. So revenue recognition is basically revenue for business transaction. All the business transactions are all the things which have to be recorded in the books of accounts. Next, in the books of recording. Now, when realized, obviously we record the items, we record the transactions when they have to be realized. Now, the question arises, what is the meaning of revenue and what is the meaning of revenue is realized? There are two things. One is the revenue, one is the revenue is realized. So first check what is the meaning of revenue. Revenue simply means the gross inflow of cash. Revenue simply means the gross inflow of cash. For example, if I am selling the goods to someone, I will get the cash out of it. So the cash which I am getting out of that by selling that goods is known as the revenue. Is that clear? That is basically my revenue. Now, it can be due to the sale of goods and services, or else I can get the interest, royalty, and dividends as well. For example, I have given a loan to someone, I will receive the interest. If someone is using my technology, if someone is using my idea, so he will pay me the royalty. If I have invested some amount into the different businesses shares, so they will also give me what? They will give me the dividends out of that. So once I have received the cash, I have made the revenue. Simple. Once I have received the cash, that is my revenue in simple words. Now the question arises, what is the meaning of revenue is realized? This is basically when I do the transactions on credit basis. If I am receiving the cash, that's the revenue. If I'm not receiving the cash, but I am sure that I will receive the cash because I have delivered the goods to the other person, he has to pay me the amount, then it is known as revenue is realized. So this, where I had purchased a chocolate and I have paid the amount to the shopkeeper, this is basically the revenue for that shopkeeper. He will record this as the revenue. He has earned it. The money has been received. The goods have been transferred. Next is realization of revenue simply means where the cash is not received, but the legal right to receive the money has been arised. For example, where I bought the chocolate from that person, from that shopkeeper, and the legal right to receive the money has arrived in his part. He will obviously receive the amount from me after a certain period of time. So that is when the revenue is realized. Okay. One, we have received the cash. Second, we have received the legal right to receive the cash. We haven't received, but we have the legal right that we can ask him for the cash, or else if he's not able to pay the cash, I will take an action against him as per the law. Okay. So it is basically the legal right to receive the money has arisen. When will it happen? When the goods have been sold. The goods have been transferred to that person. The services have been rendered. Then only I have the legal right to take the money from him. Okay. So the question is when to recognize this revenue. When you get the cash, you will recognize this revenue. Otherwise, if you have not received the cash, but you have sold the goods have been transferred, services have been rendered, then also you can recognize this revenue. Okay. Next, so it is basically the credit sales are recorded on the day of sales, not when the money is received. Obviously, the shopkeeper who sold me this chocolate will record the revenue, will record the sales on the day he sold me that chocolate, not on the day he will receive that money. He will have to record on the very same day on which the chocolate was delivered to me, the chocolate was sold to me. Is that clear? So revenue recognition concept simply says to record all the revenues, record all the incomes when the cash is received or the legal right has been received. Okay. Next. Now the rent, commission, interest are all included or are all done on the timely basis, because the rent has to be paid on a monthly basis. Okay. We don't have to pay it on a daily basis. We pay a area's rent on a monthly basis. So it will be on the monthly basis, we will recognize the revenue. For example, suppose I have taken a building on rent for rupees 50,000 a month. If I am getting that building for 50,000 a month, I will have to pay 50,000 rupees per month. For example, in a certain month, I was not able to pay the rent to that person, to the landlord. Then also I will have to record that amount in my books of account that I will pay him the amount. And he will also record that income because he has the legal right to ask for the rent, because the services of giving him the space has been completed for that particular month.